Well, finally have the Camaro off of the rotisserie. It's the first time it's been off either the rotisserie or frame table in pretty well 10 years. Haven't seen it sitting this low in a long time. Basically all the welding is done. Still a little bit of cleanup to do. Got the removable harness bar in, a roll bar, nothing going to the back or to the front. The harness bar is tied in here, and then that's welded right to the outside of the car, into the body here just to stabilize it a little bit. The underneath is basically finished. Got some gray epoxy primer on it. The transmission tunnel at the back here. The mounts for the rear subframe. Upper control arm mounts. So now I'm going to put everything back together. I'm going to put the drivetrain in it, torque tube, all of the transmission tunnel braces, and put the suspension in and put it back on the ground. The braces here for the upper section that separates the exhaust from the torque tube, and then there's another one that goes below that. So get everything put back together and then we'll get some more video. Okay, I've got the car down a little bit lower now. Took one block out of there, so it's about 16 inches off of the ground. I've got the torque tube set in there, and I've got it bolted up just with a couple of bolts roughly to the transmission. There's a transmission and differential there with the torque tube bolted roughly, so tomorrow I will bolt that in properly, get this rear subframe up probably 6 or 8 inches and line it up with the mounting holes here. Then I'll put the front subframe here in place underneath roughly where it belongs, up about the same 6 or 8 inches. And I'll bolt the engine in. That way I've got lots of room to get at the bell housing bolts and everything. I'll bolt that together, bolt the motor mounts in, put the headers and everything on, and then I'm gonna try and lift this whole thing up in one section with a jack under the front and under the back, and get it very close. Get one of the subframes pins in, a bolt in loose, and then come to the front and do the same. And hopefully within the next few days I can get the drivetrain all test fit, then the suspension on, and put it on the ground for the first time in a decade. Okay, let's see what happens next. Got the engine put back under the car. So I've just got it bolted to the motor mounts here. And just hanging below, I have to see how I'm going to get the headers in place, because right now I have it hanging from the header bolts. So I might have to lift it from the front somehow or strap it underneath so I can get the headers on and then lift everything at once. But torque tube is in place. It's all bolted to the transmission and the differential. And I've got the rear subframe in. So tomorrow I'll get this lifted up and bolted back in place to the car. And then I can start assembling the suspension with the coilovers, and I can put it back on the ground. or not even back on the ground, just, let me zoom out a little bit, just on the ground. This is the first time the car has been on the ground in this configuration ever. So that'll be next.